A pandemic pause for half the Democratic ticket, with vice presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris grounded tonight after two people connected to her campaign tested positive for the coronavirus. One, a flight crew member, the other, her communications director. An aviation company administrator who traveled on Joe Biden's plane also tested positive, but the campaign says the person never came within 50 feet of the candidate. Both Biden and Harris tested negative today, but Harris's North Carolina event scrapped, along with all her travel through Sunday, out of what the campaign calls an abundance of caution.
We extend our best wishes. We extend our best, which is more than they did to me, but that's okay.
That's not accurate. Both Democrats did wish the president a full recovery as he rallies in the key battleground of North Carolina. People there voting early, enthusiastically, starting today. Traveling with President Trump, top advisor Hope Hicks and Republican Party Chair Ronna McDaniel, both among the 28 people connected to the Trump administration or campaign diagnosed with COVID-19. Now, the daughter of Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney and ally, revealing she will endorse Biden. Quote, "I may not be able to change my father's mind, but together we can vote this toxic administration out of office." Former President Barack Obama making the character case for his former running mate.
He was always the guy in every meeting who asked, how's this helping regular folks?
Our latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll shows Biden with an 11-point lead nationally over President Trump, making tonight's head-to-head town halls one of the president's last big opportunities to try and turn the tide. That's after he backed out of the virtual debate initially set for tonight, 2 weeks after his COVID diagnosis. President Trump set to appear on NBC just hours after railing against what he attacked as the fake NBC News Town Hall Forum. The town hall, as well as Biden's in Philadelphia, airing at the same time, triggering backlash on social media. The NBC News Group chairman defending the scheduling as fairness with Biden's forum last week on the network in the same time slot. On set, a socially distanced audience required to wear masks, and just off it, a Trump boat parade, sharing the water with a floating billboard reading, "Trump lied, 215,000 died. The pandemic, the backdrop to a campaign in its final stretch." And on that note, we are now hearing from former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who's revealing tonight he spent a week in the ICU after his own COVID diagnosis, and acknowledging he should have worn a mask at White House events and in those debate prep sessions with President Trump.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.